Arrival, which came out in 2016, directed by Denis Villeneuve. And I'm pretty sure I'm butchering this name, as I've been told by some of my friends recently. Starring Amy Adams, Jeremy Renner, Forrest Whitaker, and a whole bunch of people. The plot is basically a linguist works with the military to communicate with alien life forms after 12 mysterious spacecraft appear around the world. Um, so, on first brush, this movie is a brilliantly made science fiction movie, and you can just take it as that, great crafts and everything. But I think what really hit me about this is sort of one of my beliefs that's, I think, shaped more and more in the last 4 or 5 years, which is that people are not that different from you as much as you might think in your mind. And if you really take the time to learn and listen and engage with them, you will find common ground. You will find a way to communicate with them. You may not always agree with them, but that's okay. And made, of course, the movie takes it to sort of a utopian reality that everything is good, and all the countries of the world sort of communicated and talked with each other and everything
Right.
is fine. And I sort of, I don't know how much I sort of line up with that, because it's much harder than that in real life. But at the core of it, I think that message is something that I really believe in. We live in a world which is so divided right now. I've been an outsider in for the last many, many years because I've lived in different parts of the world, and I've subconsciously always practiced this in a way. When you're an outsider and you know, people around you don't necessarily know you or where you're coming from. And I think everybody can relate to that in some way or the other. I'm not, an exception here, obviously. But I have, it's a case in point experience for me where if you lead with kindness and if you lead with curiosity, you will actually end up a lot better in life. And again, I have bad days for sure. I'm not always that way, but for the most part, I think I am that way, and I try and push myself to be that way. And I think this movie does a great job at that message. Maybe not so much in how all the countries got together and saved the world, but
Uh-huh.
definitely in what you see between Amy Adams' character and the aliens. And I think that to me is the core of the movie, and I guess Amy Adams' performance with it, where it's a very technical movie. It's a very dry movie. Otherwise, there's a lot of great effort put into building the world and such, but the score and the movie doesn't sentimentalize what is happening. It's all of it is in Amy Adams' face and her eyes, and the fact that this woman who is flawed but strong, but also is very good at what she does and stands out amongst this pack of people who are also very human. You totally understand where they are coming from. There are no bad guys in the movie. It's a very human response to attack the unknown and protect what you know. I get it. But the way she portrays this character who stands up against that in her
Hmm.
own way, literally figures out a new language to talk to the aliens. I thought that was very moving to me. And it didn't quite hit me the way it did in my first watch of the movie, but I watched it a couple of times after, and that's the part that really stays with me. And I applaud Denis for doing that in a way that any other movie director would have made this movie very sentimental and hokey, because the subject matter is like that a little bit, especially the ending. But the fact that it's devoid emotion in everything else but Amy Adams is by design. And I thought that was very smart. So yeah, that's my number three, Arrival. And I hope I can channel Amy Adams more and more in my daily life.
um, yeah, this is a good pick. I think so. I've seen the film when it came out. I'm not a Villeneuve fan. On paper, he's a director that I should like, so I keep going back to his movies, but they just never land well with me. So this one I rewatched. So I'd seen it once in the theater, rewatched it for the podcast, thinking maybe I would have a deeper appreciation for it. Still didn't really take to it. But I think the theme that you hit on of communication is obviously a big theme in this film. And I think it says a lot of great things about not only the importance of communication, but the danger of miscommunication.
Yeah.
If you're misinterpreting what someone else said because you're not able to see it from their point of view, you're just thinking about it from your own point of view. And that's what the humans are not only doing with the aliens a lot, misinterpreting, oh, there's a weapon maybe. Well, okay, well, we've already militarized, so maybe that they're trying to do the same thing. But then also you notice it. Exactly, with each other. There's, yes, the world does come together very quickly. There's factions that start breaking off because they don't want to talk. The Chinese and the Russians don't want to start sharing information with the other groups. So the communication breakdown amongst the Earthlings is also a problem in the film. So it's not only like communication breaking down, but misinterpretation. I think those are all themes that are very important and something that the more I've lived, the more I've seen this becoming a problem of miscommunication, but then also not listening to somebody else and trying to understand them, not just listening to what they're saying, but understanding them, which is what Amy Adams' character is trying to do throughout this entire film. It's not just what is the word, but what does that word mean? And she even talks about, from a linguistic standpoint, okay, well, this is the sentence you want to tell the aliens. Well, we have to make sure they understand what the meaning of your is. We have to understand the meaning of like the planet is, or what your intention, like all the different words in that sentence where you might just say, oh, why are you on the planet Earth? Usually those alien invasion movies, that's the first question they ask. And they just expect the aliens to know what that sentence actually means and every word in it. And I love that part of the film where she's breaking down that sentence. And then trying to make sure that she understands the other person and not just what they're saying. You have to have the understanding first. So I think that's a message that resonated with me when I saw the film the first time. And I definitely think even the second time coming into this film with the framework of what we're talking about helped me, that message come out even more to me when I saw it.
I'm glad to hear that. And quite a masterclass, like you were saying, in empathy, which we can always use more and more of.
Exactly.
And I love that you said that, yes, it's about the spoken word and the scripture, but it's really more about the intention behind it.
Right.
And we as people, we often don't look at that. We've already made up our mind because of our own biases as to what this person is going to say. Without even interrogating what they really mean and where they're coming from. And if you did that, you'd realize, oh, actually, we believe in the same stuff. We are just saying it differently. So yeah, pretty powerful. And it just seems to resonate more and more. So I'm very happy you took that away from it too.
Hey there, it's Alex. If you like the review and discussion Karan and I just had, make sure you subscribe to our channel, Movies That Shaped Us, to get full episodes. Every other Wednesday, Karan and I cover a topic around important people, places, events, and moments in our lives, and then explore it through 3 of our favorite movies. Subscribe right now, or follow our podcast on Spotify or Apple Podcasts via the link in the description below. Hope you join us for the journey.